Welcome back to this week's edition of Riding the Wall podcast. I'm Chad.
And I'm still Justin.
And we are still the undisputed tag team champions of the podcast world.
Yeah, nobody stepped up to challenge it yet.
No, they're not going to. They're not going to. Did you have a good week?
I did.
Yeah?
I did. It's been a busy week, but it's just one of them of wake up and look for stuff to do. And as soon as you find something to do, 4 or 5 people are like, hey.
Yeah. Hey, come do this. Hey, help me with that. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Now that the weather's nice, I'm looking for stuff to do.
Yeah.
When that weather gets cold, man, I'm just like hibernating.
Well, we finally got some rain yesterday after 17 days of no rain.
Yeah,
so that was nice.
Yeah, that helped me get a day off.
Right.
Just sit in the house and watch it rain.
Yeah.
Which was weird because actually one of my neighbors, got, I don't know, they just got some stuff laying around their house and they just thought it was a good time to clean up around the outside of the house during the rain. So I'm like, how weird can these people be?
Right. You've had 3 or 4 weeks, 3 weeks of no rain. And
perfect opportunity to do that kind of stuff, right? But no, they wanted to do it in the rain. So
it's too pretty to go outside.
Yeah.
Let's wait till it rains to go outside and clean up. Yeah.
It's perfect time. I don't know. But yeah. So I get that.
No, at least they cleaned up.
That's true. So. That's true. I mean, I only griped about it forever, because I'm an old man now and I just gripe about everything.
Oh, no.
Me and my wife were talking about that just a little while ago when I come home. And, my daughter was out there and they were saying, something about me griping and complaining. And I said, I feel like that's a rite of passage, I know we talked about this a little bit last week, but I feel like I've lived this long. I'm getting to be an old man, or at least I feel like I'm getting to be an old man. So I feel like I've lived long enough on this earth and I've seen enough stupid stuff and stupid people doing stupid things that, I'm still here to complain about it. So I'm going to do that.
Yeah. And see, I complain about a handful of things. And Lisa would probably tell you it's a lot more than a handful, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure I bitch a lot more than I realize I do. Right. But, I'm 44, so I'm right there with you. I think, hey, we're experienced enough now to bitch. So, but my big thing, like the one thing, and it will completely set me off into a blind freaking rage. Uh-oh. And it does every time something happens. And it kind of goes hand in hand with this podcast because it's bad drivers. Bad drivers.
My gosh.
Like, I'm that guy that I will...
You're getting ready to send me into a rage, and I'm not even on the road.
Yeah, we're doing this from the office, I mean, it's not anything that... we're not behind the wheel right now, but, I mean, just... Man, it's... Bad drivers, that's my pet peeve, and people make the worst mistakes, and it's gotten worse, obviously, with cell phones. Coming into the picture over the last 10, 15 years, but, people just doing some of the most stupid shit, will set me into a blind freaking rage to where, like, I see spots, I get so mad,
Mm-hmm. Well, mine, as far as people on the highway go, is when I'm driving down the interstate, you're in it. Like, we have 65 right here by us, so, driving down in our section of 65 is 2 lanes, right? You don't have this on 3 or 4 lane, but in our section it's 2 lanes of interstate. And what really pisses me off is when one semi is doing 63 miles an hour in the right-hand lane, and then the one right behind him, there's a semi right behind him, he's doing like 63 and a half.
Right.
And he's got to pull out to pass. And it takes 15 miles for that semi.
And there's a hill coming.
It's like, man, I just wish the guy on the right side would let off the throttle for just a second, let that guy get by and then hammer back down. But that probably pisses me off more than anything, because he's looking back saying, watch this, I'm going to piss them all off.
Yeah, because he does.
Oh, yeah.
But my thing is slow drivers in the left lane,
Yeah.
I mean, and the right lane being completely empty. Like, nothing going on in the right lane at all. And people just got their cruise set on 63, like you said, in the left lane. And, Lisa will say, just go around them. Just go around them. That's not the point. The point
How
is,
close do you get?
oh, I get right up there.
Okay, I do too.
Smoke would be proud I get that close,
Uh-huh.
but Lisa gets mad because it is dangerous. Because I mean, all it takes is somebody to want to be a dick,
Yeah.
try to prove that they're right somehow for
Right.
going slow in the fast lane. You know, but
It just depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm going to get right up on them and scare them into getting into the right lane, or I'm going to just take the right lane and just blast right
I,
by them. But I'm going to give them a shitty look the whole time.
I've thought about dumping them before. I mean,
See if I get penalized for a right rear
right?
hook, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't admit it.
Right, you
You
can't
got,
admit it these days.
get $50,000 fine.
Right, you don't want to do that. But so let's talk about St. Louis Worldwide Technology Raceway, whatever you want to call it. I prefer to call it St. Louis because it's shorter and I'm lazy.
Right.
Kyle Busch
Congratulations.
wins again. Number 3.
Congratulations, Rowdy, and Richard Childress Racing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think you and I knew, and probably a lot of the listeners too, had a good feeling that Kyle Busch was going to come in and do this. You know what I mean? And I mean, he's back in the Chevrolet. He's out of the Toyota. He wanted to prove a point to Coach Gibbs and his other teammates, probably. And I mean, to me, it's just like the Peyton Manning scenario when he was in Indianapolis, and here comes
You talking about Tom Brady?
no, the new quarterback from Stanford that Indianapolis picked up.
Luck?
Yeah, Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I wasn't a Luck fan.
Right. So, I mean, Andrew Luck was a talent, but I was sitting there the whole time going, Jim Irsay better not let him go. Better not let him go. And our HR department was like, it only makes sense to let him go. He is good, but he's at the end of his career. They need this new franchise quarterback to come in. They've got the opportunity to get a number 1 draft. And, they got to keep building on this. Why I do see it from that point, but I'm like, I know how much Peyton Manning still has in him.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And he ran that team. So I knew it was a mistake.
Yeah.
And this ain't looking back. I knew in that moment that they were making a mistake by letting Peyton Manning go. And it kind of falls right there in place with me, with Coach Gibbs letting Kyle Busch get away. Because Peyton Manning goes off to Denver.
He won another Super Bowl.
Won another Super Bowl, which I will say, in Denver's defense, well, I'll give Denver's defense credit. They had a big part in that, but so did Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning kept that offense alive, and granted, he wasn't getting the numbers he was in his first 10 years at Indianapolis, but just the mind that man has is irreplaceable.
Right.
So, and I kind of feel like that's how it is with Coach Gibbs, Kyle Busch, and that scenario. So
yeah, I agree with that. Kind of like you're saying, end of the career. Well, not really end of career, but late career. Peyton Manning is much better than a beginning of the career Andrew Luck. Just like late in a career Kyle Busch is better than just about anybody, but
right.
Ty Gibbs.
I mean, he holds his own. You can't replace that experience. You can't replace that type of mindset.
Yeah.
And it's working great for RCR.
It's working great for Kyle Busch too, because he's got 3 wins so far this year. Is that either ties or is more than he had in the past 2 years at Gibbs.
Yeah.
So he's made the right move.
I mean,
that proves it right there. And he had a dominating car all weekend.
Yeah.
Or the whole race at least, so
he was up top 3 the whole day.
Yeah, I was gonna say I never seen him out of the top 3.
But again, he had to. There was times, just like we was talking about last week or the week before, I can't remember, but just about that finesse and not battling for the lead on lap 120. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Kyle Busch has got that type of mind where he can say, I'll let you get around me now. I ain't gonna try to push this. Go ahead, take the lead.
Yeah.
And I know how strong my car is. I'll get you on the final.
I'll get you when it matters.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So you can't buy that. You can't create that. It's just something that comes with time, and not every NASCAR driver gets it in time.
Yeah. Yeah. And another thing that we seen um, at St. Louis was Kyle Larson. Early in the race, his car was just junk. It was just garbage. He was falling back to the back, and then what do you know? They keep working on it, and by the end of the race, there he is. He's up there,
He's got that. Well,
which is no surprise.
no, we've talked about that too. How well he communicates with his team and saying,
Hmm.
"This is what my car is doing, and
Yeah,
this is what I needed to do."
yeah. He just got one of them talents that it doesn't matter. Don't get nervous if Kyle Larson is your guy and he's struggling on lap 100. They'll be there at the end, or at least they'll.
Unless they crash, he's going to be there.
Yeah.
Unless his car's got damage that the other 36 or 37 cars don't have, he's going to be there.
Right. Right. He has that talent to do that, and Kyle Busch just has this talent to. I don't know. It seems like every time he spins out or bumps the wall, it's like that would piss me off. Like, well, it don't piss me off this year when Kyle Busch does it, but like last year when he was in the Toyota and I wasn't rooting for Kyle Busch, he would spin out, he would hit the wall, he'd go through the grass, and I'm thinking, good deal, he's damaged that car, but then lo and behold, at the end of the race, there he is in the top 10, and he's just passing cars left and right, and it's like, you're the only guy on the track that can mess up your car and still compete for the win.
Sometimes run better.
Yeah.
Once his car was messed
Yeah,
up.
it's
But
like
it was almost like his team was working against him, or his garage was working against him. And I don't want to say that in a shameful throwing shit at Kyle's previous team, but we all knew what was coming. And
Yeah.
Kyle was having the worst time. You could see in the post race interviews, sometimes even in the pre race, he was already disgusted.
Yeah.
Just because it's
he
like
knew
they
the situation.
right. It's almost like they wasn't even trying to help him.
Yeah.
So
I think he knew that. And I still stand behind the comments that I made that I'm pretty sure that, because he was blowing up a lot of engines last year, just so happened to blow up a lot of engines last year towards the end of the year. And I'm pretty sure at least half of them he did on purpose.
think he's costing coach some money.
I think he was.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I talked to Earl about this like the day after, and I don't remember which track it was, but it was in the playoffs, and I think it was second stage. He was still in the playoffs, and I don't remember which track it was, but he had taken the lead, and they were under caution, and he started to blow up, and Truex, I believe, was second, and Truex came over the radio and said, "I think the 18 car is blowing up." It's like, who blows up under caution? It just don't happen, I mean, obviously it's possible, but it's not probable.
Right.
So I think the driver had a lot to do with that, and I think he said no. He could see that he was going to win that race, and he's like, "No, you're not going to help me. I'm not going to help you."
Yeah.
So I stand behind my comments on that. I haven't had too many people agree with that, but I think
I'm right there with you. We talked a lot about that last year, and there's a lot of bosses and a lot of employees out there that don't get along, especially in situations like that.
Yeah, when there's a lot of money on the line.
If you're pushing me out the door, you're not even trying to get, you're blaming it on we don't have sponsorship. We can't get a sponsorship since Mars M&M's was leaving, so we can't re-sign Kyle Busch. I called bullshit right then.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got the best driver at the time. You can find a sponsor.
Right. You don't have to worry about that car not being in victory lane with Kyle Busch at some point. And Here we are, not even halfway through the season, and he's been there. He's tied for the most wins this year, him and William Byron.
Yep. So I was happy to see that, and I was happy to see. Nowadays, I'm happy to see Kyle Busch with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
That makes me happy because in my mind, it's not the same Kyle Busch that it was 10 years ago. He's a changed man.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for him. So, it was a pretty good race. 300 laps, kind of a short race, but what do we have in there? What happened? Oh, we had Chastain and McDowell kind of got together. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
I did not.
But I think they were going into turn one. McDowell had stayed out. He didn't pit. There was a caution. McDowell didn't pit. He got up front. He stayed out front to get the track position. And everybody else came in for tires. So we go green, and McDowell starts to fall back, and Chastain. I don't remember what position they were in, but it didn't take McDowell long, and he started fading, and eventually Chastain caught him. I don't know what position they were in. They weren't doing great. I think they were somewhere around 15th, 20th, somewhere back in there. They were back in the pack, but they were coming around turn one. McDowell mm, he was kind of on the inside, that low groove, but there was still room. And there was a car to the outside of him, and I don't remember who that was, but Chastain was coming on the inside, and it looked like McDowell. I think McDowell tried to cut him off to take that spot before Chastain got there, but a lot of people were giving Chastain some grief over getting into McDowell, but I didn't see an issue there. Um, I haven't seen Chastain do really anything wrong since Rick Hendrick
Right.
got mad. But so that was just a racing deal.
I mean,
In my mind, it was. I
right.
didn't see anything wrong with what happened there.
So,
It's just
so let's go right out of this situation with Chastain and McDowell
uh-huh.
into the another topic here, which was Noah Gragson having a concussion.
Yeah.
Since Chastain smacked him upside the head a few weeks ago, let's just go right into this.
Mhm.
Kind of perfect lead in right there.
Yeah.
So,
So I believe it was lap 197, 200, something in that area. Noah Gregson, he has a wreck, and he is. I didn't know any of this until today. I just found out that he is out at the Sonoma race with concussion-like symptoms because of taking a hit in the car. Now, I didn't even see the wreck that he was in. I don't know
yeah.
if it was with another car. I don't know if it was with the wall by himself. I don't know. But it just has the look of a Kurt Busch or a Alex Bowman from last year where he's out with a concussion. He has Grant Enfinger is going to substitute for him. He's from the Truck Series. He runs up front in the truck, so we're going to see what he can do.
Getting thrown in on a road course.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know if he's much of a
perhaps
road course driver or not. I don't know a whole lot of background on him.
he might be a better road courser, and that's why they decided to pull him up from the Truck Series. I mean, I don't know. I'm
That's
right there
very
with
well.
you. I have no idea about this guy, but we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him driving in the trucks, but I don't really pay a whole lot of attention to them. As far as their backgrounds and what they're good at and their specialties. But yeah, Gregson's got concussion.
You
So
think they, when they was examining him for his concussion, checking him out and everything, you think they went ahead and shaved his head and so he can get a better look at get rid of that other helmet?
that might make us feel better sooner. Get rid of that haircut. I hope they did. I hope they did. But no, I don't know. I don't know if this is just a one race that he's going to be out. I don't know.
His old lady could have smacked him for having that haircut.
She very well could
Maybe
have.
That's where the concussion
Yeah.
comes from.
What were you thinking, bud?
Right.
He ain't going to bet with Austin Dillon no more. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
He's 0 for 1.
That's a big one too.
Mhm.
Go on national TV, getting a fight and lose with that haircut. I mean, it's different if you go on TV and fight and win with that haircut. But
Right. Speaking of Gregson and legacy, Eric Jones got penalized this week. I don't know if you've seen that or not. He got penalized for a modified greenhouse. Now, I know a lot of people listening may not know what the greenhouse of a car is, and totally understandable. Not too many people do, but the greenhouse, if you picture a car from the side view, let's say you're looking at the driver's side of a car, you take the line from the top of the hood and draw it all the way back to the back of the car. So you go on top of the hood, top of the doors, top of the trunk, and you just cut that car right there. Everything above that line is going to be your greenhouse. So you got the roof.
Basically, like you would see a greenhouse.
Yeah.
For plants, it's everything right directly.
Picture a
under the
convertible
glass.
with no windshield.
Right.
Everything up.
Right.
Yeah.
Basically everything right in the shell of the glass or the plexiglass.
Yes,
So-
and the greenhouse is including the windshield, front windshield, rear windshield, A, B, C post, and the top of the car, the roof of the car. So I don't know how it was modified, what they did.
I mean, that seems like something that would come from the supplier. You know what I'm
You would
saying?
think so. The body,
I mean, maybe something happened and they just had to make a quick modification to keep it safe. I don't know. We don't know yet. So.
Yeah, yeah, we don't know. I don't know how much they had to modify on this thing.
But I would think once NASCAR receives these new gen cars and they disperse them, they would have caught something or brought it to NASCAR's attention if it was brought to them
Yes,
incorrect.
right.
So
And not only NASCAR's seeing it's incorrect before they give it to these teams should be checking to make sure that everything's legal before they put this car together. Maybe they did. Maybe they just started sanding some stuff down and
right,
went just a little bit too far, thinking they might not get caught, trying for a aerodynamic edge, but obviously they didn't get it.
right.
Because it's Legacy this year, and
So
Legacy's in the toilet.
They say what he was penalized with.
Yeah, Eric Jones, I wrote it down here. 60 points, 5 playoff points for the team and the driver, which ain't bad. Some of these guys have been getting hit with 60 playoff points, or no, 25 playoff points this year. 60 regular points, 5 playoff points. His crew chief is suspended for 2 races and got $75,000 fine.
Well, they ain't playing, are they?
No, and it's kind of a soft penalty so far this year from what other people have gotten.
But maybe it wasn't as big a crime as because they didn't say what level it was, right?
They did. I think it was a level 1.
Okay.
I think it was just a level 1.
So maybe that's the difference,
Yeah.
Level 1's going to be cheaper.
Yeah, I think it's what it was. But so you got Eric Jones getting penalized, Noah Gragson getting a concussion. He's out for a week. Legacy Motor Club is, like I just said, they're in the toilet right now. And I hate to see that because they're Chevrolet, but I do think, well, I don't really think, I think the stats are speaking for themselves. I think this team was better off when it was just petty motorsports,
Yeah. Well, you look back at when Brad Keselowski joined Roush Fenway and it became RFK last year. It almost seemed like Roush was better the year before Keselowski come in and helped out. But year number 2, Brad and Busher are doing fantastic.
Yeah. I blame that one on the new car.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these teams just took maybe 2 steps back because of the new car.
It could be.
And I say that just because, I mean, Busher and Keselowski, they were kicking ass at Daytona last year, really close to winning that race, and then they just started getting penalized for almost everything, it seemed like. So they were learning the new rules. They were learning how to gel as a team. Brad going to the new team. Everybody's learning the new car. That's what I kind of blame that.
And
on.
They're coming through the door with a million new ideas. When somebody like Brad Keselowski joins your team,
Mm-hmm.
And same with Jimmy Johnson joining Petty and becoming Legacy Motor Club. But it kind of makes me wonder with Grayson being out, especially on a road course where Jimmy was semi-successful. Why ain't Jimmy getting in the car for Grayson?
Well, I think this year. Well, that's a good question.
You know what I mean?
Substituting for Noah.
Not in the '84, but why ain't he getting in Noah's car when you got somebody right there that you know's pretty capable of doing it?
That's a good question.
Maybe he had prior plans.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think if
maybe his old lady just ain't letting him.
It could be.
She said no.
Get your balls back, Jimmy.
Yeah. Look in the bottom of the purse. That's probably where they're at, bud. But I'm just wondering, can they turn this thing around? I mean, this isn't the first year with the car, but
well, and I've read the stories where Richard Petty is not happy and was not happy with Jimmy coming in.
Yeah, I've read that too.
And he's been pretty vocal about that. But is the king stepping back because he's unhappy and saying, "You guys deal with it then. That's what you want. Go ahead."
He could be. Well, I mean,
he's also that guy that we all know. He's always going to give 100% of what he can give. I mean, he's a mentor. He's a teacher. He's a great ambassador for the sport. He's at the track every time he can be, and I can't really see him doing that. Like, taking my ball and I'm going home. I don't
Yeah.
like this. I can't see him being like that. But on the other foot, we're not there.
Right.
So
And Petty Motorsports, that was his baby.
yeah,
That had his name on it. Now it don't have his name on it. People are and probably, I don't know, this is my opinion, but in his mind maybe it seems like they're trying to push him out.
right.
You bring in Jimmy Johnson, the
One of
the
the
other
other
seven-time
one
champions.
of the one of them.
Yeah. And just want to totally change everything. You're changing the name, you're changing the look, you're changing what they're all about, and it's not working.
Right.
Maybe Richard's just stepping back and saying, "I'll let the house burn for a little while," and then maybe they'll call me back and realize that I had some good ideas. We
Right.
were on the way up when
And
these changes came
it
about.
would be, you know, Richard hasn't mentioned any kind of angst or hatred or dislike of Jimmy Johnson at all. So don't
No.
take it for that. But I could see that marriage working really well and that team working really well if it would have been Richard Petty reaching out to Jimmy Johnson and saying, "Hey, would you like to be a part of this?
Yeah.
Here's, here's what I want to control. Here's what I want you to control." You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to let a good idea be somebody else's idea
Right.
for it to work,
Mm-hmm.
And I could see that this situation working a lot better if it would have played out like that.
Yeah. I think in order for this this team to work the way it currently is, I think both seven times are going to have to sit down by themselves in the room and work it out and say, this is what you're going to control, this is what I'm going to control. You stay in your lane, I'll stay in my lane. You make yours 100%, I'll make mine 100%, and we'll come together and we'll win some races.
Right.
I think that's what's going to have to happen. I don't see it happening this year, by no means. That's going to have to be something that happens at the end of the year, and then you're going to Toyota next year. I think that's really going to help them. I hate to say that, but I think being with Toyota is really going to help them.
Yeah.
It's just going to give Toyota a couple more cars. It's going to give Legacy a manufacturer that's probably going to be paying more attention to them, giving them more support than what Chevy is, because Chevy's got their hands full with so many Chevys on the track now. And
Well,
Big Rick, he demands the attention.
right. But, even those big teams, you look at Hendricks, you look at Stewart Haas, you look at JTG, you look at Trackhouse. Maybe it was one of the with Legacy. Maybe it was one of the things. Hey, we don't have the money to keep doing this, even though we're not doing bad. We don't have the money to keep up in this sport anymore. We need to bring somebody in, and Jimmy was that guy that could financially join and benefit the team. So there, it may have been one of the things of if Richard Petty Racing didn't get a financial partner, the team wasn't going to last 2 more years. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you look at Tony Stewart and Gene Haas. You look at Rick Hendrick bringing in Jeff Gordon. So I mean, this sport has obviously got more expensive, but maybe it was something like that. And I think maybe they just, if them two could just get their feet underneath of them, they'd be a hard duo to go against.
Yeah, because you've got old school champion and a newer school, not really new school, but newer school,
Right.
and Jimmy.
And both of them Hall of Famers. I mean, both of them tied for the most championships. However you want to look at it, they're both 7-time champions.
Right.
With the late great Dale Earnhardt, and so I mean, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but this thing could, with Legacy Motor Club, it could blow
Success
up.
is coming.
Yeah, I mean, it could be incredible how much this team blows up.
Yeah.
If they could just get their feet underneath of them.
Yeah, and before it became Legacy, I mean, look how good Eric Jones was doing in that 43 car. He got
Better than the one before him.
Yeah, So exactly. So I mean, they were moving up, and then things changed to legacy, and then it just kind of it got flushed.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
that's unfortunate to see, really. But
I'm excited to see what they do in the upcoming years, though. I
yeah, I
really am.
mean, considering
There's a lot of
it's Jimmy
possibilities.
and Richard, to see what happens when they get a Toyota, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
I'm said it many times. I'll say it till I'm dead. I'm not a Toyota fan, but maybe that's what's gonna maybe that's what it's gonna take for them to turn the corner.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because after seeing Gregson, hearing about Jones's,
Well, I
it
mean,
seems like and what was it, a couple weeks ago?
it
All
was
three of
same.
the cars at the Coca-Cola 600, all three of them were like out early.
Right. But I mean, it was the same thing we discussed a week or two ago with Hendricks Motorsports. I mean, you had Alex Bowman out with injury. You had Chase Elliott getting suspended for a race. You had Chase Elliott out at the beginning of the season. I mean, it was like all these things, all these variables were kind of falling apart. With at Rick Hendricks, uh, with Hendricks Motor Team. Those
Mm-hmm.
four drivers. And I mean, William Byron's doing fantastic. Obviously, Kyle Larson's not doing bad.
No, he's
And
not doing bad. I mean, he'd probably have 5 wins if it wasn't for Ross Chastain.
right. So I mean, it was you know,
The dominoes just kind of fell all
yeah.
at one
I mean,
time.
it's
Yeah,
like when it rains, it pours, boy.
right.
And maybe that's what's going on over here at Petty. Maybe it's just the black cloud moved over there for a minute. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Another thing I was going to talk about. Did you see the at St. Louis? Did you see the Austin versus Austin, the Cindric and Dillon
I did not.
ordeal? Well, right after the race, Richard Childress was in the victory, the post race where you do the interviews. To sit down at the table, and some of the news people or the sports people were talking and asked him about the wreck with Austin Dillon, and Richard just flat out come out and said, yeah, Cindric wrecked him on purpose, hooked him in the right rear, he needs to be suspended. And this was after, right after the wreck happened, Austin Dillon gets checked out of the infield care center, and they're interviewing him, and the first thing I got to say is he needs to shave his mustache because he's not Chase Elliott.
Right.
He's not.
Hey, I mean, Blaney and Chase Elliott both can grow a fantastic
They-
mustache.
They can wear their mustache wherever they want to because,
It's not Austin Dillon, though.
right, it's not Austin. Austin, I know you're listening to this, bud, but you need to shave
And
that mustache
we
or
like
grow it
you.
out.
We like you.
Put some
but-
handlebars on that thing or
Right.
something,
We're just trying to have your back a little bit.
Yeah,
here.
we're trying to help you out, bud.
Yeah.
Um, but Austin come out, and you could tell he was pissed. He had the quiver in his voice that he was so mad that you get, and he said that Cindric wrecked him on purpose, hooked him in the right rear, and he needs to be suspended. And then they're showing the replay of this wreck, and my immediate thoughts were, I don't see anything there that calls for a suspension. Because they had two different views on it. They had one camera in the turn watching the cars come at the camera, and I really couldn't see anybody moving one way or the other. I don't know how they even made contact because from that view, you couldn't tell who was going where. And then they had the other view, the other camera view from the straightaway, and you're watching the cars go past
On
you
the
from left to
inside.
right, yeah. And as they're watching them, there it looks like Austin Dillon came up into Cindric. So I'm thinking, well, how in the hell can Cindric be suspended if you came up into him,
Right.
And it just looked like a racing incident. It looked like Cindric was setting himself up for the turn, and he was starting to go, make that turn left, and that's how he got into Dillon. But Dillon was so low on the track, he was coming up the track to set himself up for the turn.
He thought he
was
cleared
trying
it.
to, yeah, he thought he was cleared, and he was coming up to get in that line that he needed to be so he could take that turn on the low side. And two cars going for the same real estate, It wasn't an intentional wreck, and what I think a lot of fans need to understand, and of course you get all the Chase Elliott fans coming out saying he needs
Yeah.
to be suspended forever because he did the same thing Chase did, so
Well, I mean,
they're getting out of control.
there's going to be right rear hooks out there that aren't in retaliation. They're not in,
Right.
trying to wreck somebody. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
And sometimes it's going to be involuntarily. You
Right.
know, I mean, two cars like that with that kind of speed, things are going to happen.
Hmm.
But it's up to NASCAR and that team to figure out what's intentional and what's not. And
Right.
it was very clear that Chase Elliott's was, and they didn't um, appeal it or nothing like that. You know, so
No, they knew they got caught.
right. So I mean, it was let it be what it is, and NASCAR will decide because no matter how much fans of this person or that person or this driver or this team, no matter how much they bitch about it, it ain't gonna change anything.
No.
You just have to let NASCAR do what NASCAR does and put your faith in them.
Yep. And that's what I was getting at is that there's going to be times where right rear hook happens and it's unintentional.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's happened for years. And it doesn't call for a penalty like you said. But it brings me, I mean, when you look at Chase Elliott's incident, you could see the hard left turn to hit him, and then his car control was fine. Just like Bubba
Right. Got it all the way to the
steered
pitch.
all the
That's
way
fine.
down to the infield grass to get Larson and to make that contact. Whereas this one was just a tap and it was unintentional. So people need to chill out and realize what's intentional and what's not. If you don't know what you're talking about, you probably shouldn't be talking. So,
And I get, I appreciate that fans are that passionate
right.
to say, "Oh my God, this guy did the same thing my favorite driver did, and he's walking away. He's nothing, not even a slap on the wrist. I get that.
Yes, but
But
they should have the common sense to say what was the difference in that one and that other one.
exactly.
And
Become an expert on what you're talking about.
right.
You know,
Let somebody knowledgeable explain the difference and
and
and then let's
and
make
sit
your
down and
complaint.
talk about it with somebody that enjoys the sport as much as you do, and see if they see the same thing you do.
Right.
I mean, it's that easy.
Yeah, because we all see different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I was looking around on NASCAR.com, and I seen a story about Rick Hendrick, and he was discussing the Chase Elliott getting suspended, and he was talking about how retaliation is a fine line, and he would much rather see these drivers handle it outside of the car rather than inside the car. But he also said that, you got to understand that drivers are going to eventually they're going to say enough is enough and they're going to handle it themselves. Um,
Just like Noah did.
yeah, just like Noah did, and he was saying that Denny Hamlin was beating the tar out of Chase all day, and Chase just got tired of it. And he said, "You're going to have that.
Yeah.
Now right rear hooking's not acceptable, but you're still going to have retaliation." So
Bump him back.
yeah,
and make it hard on him too. If you're
yeah, and that's kind of what he was saying was that retaliation is a fine line, and it got me to thinking. It's an art, is what it is. It's not really a fine line. It's to retaliate and make it look accidental. It's an art.
Yeah.
And these guys at the top, most
Are
of them
better
know
at
how
it.
to do
Or
it.
they're better at it than
Yes.
the newbies.
Yes, and it's like that's why you see a lot of these old timers. They do it and they don't get caught because they know how to do it. They know how to. They'll chase a guy around the track for 2 or 3 laps and find out where his weak spot is, and then get right up on his bumper, and that way, and then a certain spot of the track they'll hit him.
Yeah, and it'll make it look like he done it.
And make it
himself.
look like he let off the throttle or whatever, and they'll
And
make it look.
It's even more. It's even easier on a road course.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And these
Oh, yeah.
and these veterans, they'll just like you said, they'll hang out behind you for a minute and wait to catch you at that weak spot, and you won't even know what happened.
Oh yeah.
But the entire country watching will know
Exactly what happened.
Well, no, the entire country will think, well, he just lost it,
Oh yeah. Or
But those experts watching will be snickering in the corner like,
because they know what just happened.
You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yeah. It's
He just got his stupid prize.
yep. And what do you think? So I'm just gonna ask you this: what kind of retaliation is okay in your mind, and what kind of retaliation is not okay, on or off the track?
Well, I mean, I'm an old school NASCAR guy. I'm an old school race guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's nothing wrong with throwing fists in the pits off the track. Um, I don't want to see it every weekend. Nothing like that. I don't want to see a Royal Rumble between 10 different teams, 10 different
Yeah.
drivers in the pits. I don't want to see all that. But every once in a while, when like the Chastain and Hamlin thing, that saga, it's going to have to come to a head one way or other. And I would much rather see it happen face to face than in a car where one of them's career could be changed forever.
Right.
So I'm always going to say, let them duke it out, boys. But as far as retaliation goes, uh, obviously right rear hooking is an intentional and probably the most devastating way to hurt somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with NASCAR on that. It does not need to happen. But how many years did we see Jeff Bodine and Sterling Marlin and Bill Elliott and Rusty Wallace and Dale Sr. bang doors with each other? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can go up there and you can bang me on the left or right, side to side, touch me on the back, jam me up from the front, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
that's part of racing, and I enjoy that,
Yeah.
So I mean, any kind of contact is going to slow both cars down.
Right.
So if they're doing it out of aggravation and putting their chances of winning even less than what they were at the moment, that's up to them in that real moment, in that
Yeah.
real minute. So if they want to do that, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
But don't go out there and try to end the career of one of your
Right.
coworkers.
Right. I don't. In my mind, anytime somebody gets right rear hooked, I don't think the person doing the hooking is trying to hurt that individual. I think they're just trying to make sure that they take that car out of the race.
But they're all aware
Right,
of
but
what
they're
that
all
will do
aware,
to.
and they don't think of that in that moment. And we talked about that, a couple of weeks ago. It's that blink of an eye decision that had you think about it for 10 seconds, you wouldn't make that same decision. But I'm perfectly fine with just about any kind of retaliation, except the right rear hook. Obviously, I don't like that. That's not good. No place for that anywhere. But
Let me.
other than that, like earlier this year with the Denny Hamlin Ross Chastain, that thing went on. That whole saga went on all year last year, and it was always Ross Chastain getting the better of Hamlin. And now at the time, I really didn't care for either one of them. I didn't really care how this thing went, who won or who lost. It was kind of fun to watch. And I was always sitting there thinking, when's Denny going to get him back? I mean, every week it was Ross hitting Denny, Ross hitting Denny. Nobody's doing anything, not even Denny. He's not doing nothing about it except bitching about it. Well, quit bitching about it. Do something, bud. Throw him on the table. Let's see what you got.
Yeah.
Bitching about it ain't going to get you nowhere except hit again, you know. So then finally, this year, what was it, Phoenix? I think it was Fontana, Phoenix. One of the first few races. I don't know when it was, but Hamlin just pinned Chastain up against the wall, door to door, just pinned him against the wall. Didn't wreck him on purpose, but he definitely finished farther back in the field
Hamlin did.
than Hamlin did and what Ross wanted to. So that was kind of his way of getting him back. It's like, finally, I got you back, and I'm not going to let you have a good race. That was his form of retaliation, which I think is perfect.
Yeah.
It's absolutely perfect. It didn't hurt him. Proved a point. Denny wasn't going to have a good race anyway.
Now
Take him out.
here's another scenario with that. I can't say I'm against it, but I'm not for it. And we've talked about this numerous times, and it always leads into the ass punch. It's when you and I were at Bristol, and Kevin Harvick was going to win this race, and Kyle Larson was battling for it and this and that, but Chase Elliott makes a green flag pit stop, doesn't get nothing done to his car, shoots back out of the pit. So he did it intentionally to get in front of Kevin Harvick, and he came out and slowed Kevin Harvick down. Now, I don't know what that was retaliation for,
Because
Yeah.
Harvick he side smacked him, rubbed his tire.
Well, I mean that's racing though.
Right.
You know.
At Bristol, it's a short track.
Right.
That's short
Right.
track
So I
racing.
mean I don't think Kevin Harvick did anything intentional.
No.
So my thing is to do something like that is crossing the line. I mean, he wasn't putting nobody in danger, but God bless, it pissed me off so much. You know.
Oh, I know. I was sitting right there next to you. I seen how much you were pissed
I
off.
think I about tore one of them bleacher stands out of the.
I could see the smoke coming out of your ears with
But
30 laps to go.
But on the same note, you know, if you know that comes down to team racing too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just like Cole Coaster at the road course last year when his crew chief come over and said, "Oh, it looks like your left rear's down." And I mean, knowing he didn't have a flat tire, but he was telling him, "Slow this guy down behind you."
Right.
I get that because you know, if you and I are out there teammates and you've got a real good chance to win, but this guy's coming on hard, I would do the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
And it's not like he swerved to get in front of the guy. All he did was tap his brake.
Right. So I get the team play in this because I support that. I mean, there's multiple teams out there with multiple cars on those teams for a reason. You know, so I'm a big fan of the team racing.
Yeah, I don't have nothing against that.
But that move that Chase Elliott pulled on Kevin Harvick, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Kevin Harvick guy. I'm saying that because he took a green flag pit, to get up there and do that. And that was, I mean, on one hand it was great strategy, but on the other hand it was below the belt.
And it was obvious what he was doing. You know, it was very obvious.
Oh yeah.
That he was.
I mean, you didn't even get gas.
Yeah.
Come on.
So that right there in itself, he didn't make contact with Harvick. He just slowed him up, which isn't that not the same thing that Hamlin got penalized for this year for altering the outcome of a race?
Right.
You know,
we talked about that.
Right, and so those kind of retaliations, those don't make me mad. I mean, obviously they would if I was the person getting the bad end of the stick on that deal.
Well, but here's my problem with it. If Kevin Harvick would have dumped Chase Elliott,
he would have been wanted in 17 states.
Right. You know, and that's my problem with it. If he would have dumped him for intentionally slowing him down, Kevin Harvick would be the villain. And Kevin Harvick would have been penalized, and Stewart Haas would have been penalized, and that's my problem with it.
Right.
If somebody's going to come out and intentionally block you, slow you down, you've only got two options. Go around them or dump them.
Or go through them.
Right.
Yeah.
And he couldn't go around him, you know, so...
Yeah, Chase was just driving with his rear view the whole rest of the race. Like, he wasn't even looking at his windshield.
Right, and then they were in traffic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Kevin Harvick couldn't take somebody else out of the race because he was pissed at Chase Elliott, but in my eyes, the only thing Kevin should have done was dump him.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah. I was rooting for him too, you know. And just because I seen with 50 laps to go, I could tell what he was doing. And at the time, Larson wasn't even leading the race.
Right.
You know, I could see Larson just reeling him in quick. So
Larson had the winning car. He had a car capable of winning. You know, that's what I'll say. He had a car capable.
He had a
of
capable
winning.
car,
Right.
yes.
But
I think Harvick had just as
dominating.
much a capable car, and he was going to win that race had it not been for Chase Elliott's bullshit. But yeah, as far as retaliation, a lot of people are just going overboard with this stuff ever since the Golden Boy did it. You know, now everybody's got to be suspended, and that's not the case. I think there's a lot of ways to retaliate that is perfectly acceptable. And now it's starting to get to a point to where you're using this SMT data to see what the car did so they can prove intent on wrecking somebody.
And there's a lot of stuff that we don't see either. Like the NASCAR officials are having sit-downs with these drivers, and the crews listening to radio communication, interviewing one-on-one. So, I mean, you kind of have to leave it to these experts to say he did it intentionally or he didn't do it intentionally. But going right back to what you were saying about the SMT data, they're getting to a point where they can prove
Yeah.
guilt or innocence by this data.
Yeah. And then, so that leads me to the point of, well, now these guys are just going to have to punch each other in the face on pit road.
I'm for
It
it.
don't really matter who, proof intent right there. It just, he just caught my right hand to his face, and I'm okay with that. It's NASCAR, like I said, they're getting to a point to where they said boys have at it. So now the boys are having at it, and they're trying to take it out on each other, so it feels right to them. So they felt like they've been done wrong as far as the drivers go. They feel like they've been done wrong by another driver, so they're going to go even the score. Well, that's fine, but then NASCAR steps in because one driver's just been getting hit all these times. Like
Get beat up
Hamlin
on.
according to Rick Hendrick, Hamlin was just beating the tar out of Elliott the whole race. Well, Elliott got tired of it and hit him back. Just like Hamlin, numerous races last year getting hit by Ross Chastain. Well, he finally evened the score back, and then it's like in school, the one that's picking doesn't get in trouble, but
Fights back.
the one that fights back ends up getting in trouble, and I don't think that's right. You have to be able to defend yourself. You have to be able to defend
Your team's
not only
money.
your team but your character. You know, your this is your career, and you're not going to let nobody else make you look bad because they're trying to be stupid for a minute. That's not how it's going to work. So I'm all for this retaliation. However it happens, as long as it's not a right rear hook and it's legit. If that guy deserved it, hey, go get him.
Right.
I'm all for it. But I just wanted to throw that out there.
Get back to racing, boys.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't see the Alabama gang taking any shit like that back in the 70s and 80s.
Right. You got bumpers and fenders for a reason.
Yep.
Use them. I mean, if I'm a team owner and my guy's just getting the brakes beat off of him, I'm going to say next race, don't come in here with a clean car.
Yeah.
All four fenders better have some dents in them. You got to make them grow up, But, yeah, I just wanted to talk about retaliation for a little bit. So, well, you got anything?
Not really.
I was going to say, I don't want to go there yet. I don't want to go there yet.
Let's go to Sonoma. Let's go ahead. Not fantasy. I don't want to go.
Right.
I don't want to do no fantasy talk right now. But let's go ahead and jump to Sonoma where we go Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Give me and like I said, not fantasy included. We ain't talking about that right now. But give me 2 favorites and 2 dark horses.
Favorites for me would have to be probably Tyler Reddick. It would normally be a Chase Elliott, but not this year. I just don't think he's going to do it yet.
You think he's maybe made too many enemies? Think he's got some?
No, I just think it's just when you're having a bad week and just nothing goes right. Well, that's like his year.
Yeah.
And he's brought it all on himself. I think he's gotten out of his own rhythm by snowboarding. But so I'd say Tyler Reddick is a favorite. There's a few.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you.
Probably
before you get to a dark horse, let me go ahead and tell you my 2 favorites.
My other one's going to be Suarez.
Okay.
Just because he won it there last year.
I'm going to say Tyler Reddick and Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch has been doing really good on road courses.
He has his whole career, in a sense, except for last year, obviously. But I think he's riding this wave right now, and you can't count him out at any track. It don't matter where it is.
Yeah.
And he's really one of the, I'm going to say probably top 5 or 6 drivers out there that are good on road courses. And like I said, he's on this high right now, 3 wins. He don't like being tied with anybody. He's tied with William Byron right now for the most wins. So I could see Kyle Busch coming out there and pulling this thing off. And just like you said, I agree on Tyler Reddick. Give me 2 dark horses.
My dark horses are not normally dark horses.
Okay.
I'm going to say Chase Elliott for reasons I just said. His whole year is just off. He's not doing anything. he shouldn't be a dark horse because he is a road course driver, but just this year
Yeah, it's
he's
all about
he's
his.
not in the favorite category.
Yeah,
So for that reason alone, I'm gonna put him in the dark horse. Just because a win from Chase Elliott right now would surprise me. And then the second dark horse is one of your favorites, Kyle Busch, just because nobody thinks of Kyle Busch as a road course driver.
I do. I really do.
Well, see,
But you know I do.
I started realizing last year when I'm looking, starting to play this fantasy thing, I'm starting to realize and see that Kyle Busch is doing really good on road courses. But had I not done that research and looked into that, I would not know that because I don't think of Kyle Busch as a road course guy. When I think of a road course driver, I'm thinking of AJ Allmendinger, I'm thinking of Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, and now Ross Chastain.
Yeah.
That's about it.
And Suarez.
And Suarez,
Yeah.
yes. But I don't think of Kyle Busch or even Kyle Larson really as road course guys, but they are. So my two dark horses for this week are two guys that are normally favorites.
And one of mine kind of is too. So one of my dark horses is Chris Buescher.
Yeah.
He got second there last year, and that team's made leaps and bounds improvements from last year to this year. So I could see Buescher being up there at the end of this thing.
Yeah,
And,
I can see that.
And my other one being the same guy that probably don't like being tied for 3 wins this year is William Byron. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, wouldn't surprise me a bit to see him pull this thing off. But then again, he's not your normal pops in my head as a road course driver.
Right.
But
he has been doing pretty good.
He has. He
I don't know if he's won any yet, but he's finished up there in the top 5 a few times.
Yeah.
Like I know, was it Indy or was it the Roval last year? He was right there, close to winning.
Yeah. He's not bad at all. But he's not, like you said, he's not that guy you immediately think of when it comes to road course racing.
Right.
So.
Well, Buescher would be, if he's going to do it, he needs to do it because if you're looking at that manufacturer's total,
right,
9 to 4 to 2.
Try not to. But
Ford needs to be doing something.
All I keep thinking about is it'd be awesome if that Ford number is higher at the end of this season than Chevrolet and Toyota, and there's still enough races left.
Barely.
Right.
I mean,
but we can get there. I mean,
they got to win straight for the next 2 months in order to beat Chevy.
That's 8 more wins.
Yeah.
They'll be one up on Chevy.
Yeah. Getting to 8 wins when they've only got 2 now is going to be tough, though. It's going to be tough.
We'll see. I got faith in them. I got faith in my Ford boys.
I don't.
I do. Look at my shirt.
It's not the boys that's driving the cars.
Shirt.
It's the
Ford Hall of Fans.
It's the engines that are in them cars that I worry about. I don't really worry about them because I know what's going to happen to them. But so, one more question I want to ask you before we start talking about League or Sonoma anymore. Of all the drivers who don't have a win yet this year, who's going to be the next driver to get their first win, in your opinion?
Well, and this would, I'll tell you, but it's going to affect, if we got any of the Fantasy League members that listen to this, it's going to affect it. But I will say it. Where's your marker at for this board? I'll go ahead and make a prediction.
It's in the other room. Okay. But I got a pen right there. You can write it on that paper.
So let me do this real quick.
Here, let me grab this pen for you.
I know all you listeners can't see what I'm doing right now, but I'll write this down so Chad has the proof.
This is making me ask questions. I can't see what you're writing right now, but you keep looking at the fantasy standings. He's concentrating.
And this is locked in. This will not change.
Okay. I'm going to see what he was writing. That's pretty good.
So
Now, I will read that after this race takes place.
no, go ahead and read it.
Go
Now.
ahead and read it
Yeah,
now?
yeah, let's do it now because
Oh,
it was going to be. I was going to use that guy at Nashville and at Chicago back to back. Just go ahead and get it out of the way. But it will be one of them two races. It'll happen.
that this person wins?
Yeah,
You think so?
I think so.
I don't think this is going to happen. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that your prediction, I'm going to have to disagree with this. It's a
Okay.
bold prediction, but I'm going to tell you what he just wrote down
What's the
here.
worst that could happen? I'll be 4-1 on my predictions.
Yeah.
I'm 4-0 right now.
So he wrote down here Chicago street race. Justin takes the number 54 of Ty Gibbs. So you think Ty Gibbs is going to win at Chicago?
That's going to be your next first-time winner this season. Yeah.
You think he's going to beat Ross Chastain to a win? I'm going to go with Ross.
I hope Ross gets a win because that's who I
Well,
took.
I don't
that's
really
who I
care if
took
Ross
this
gets a
week.
win or not, but
That's who I took this week. You know, even though we're not talking about fantasy right now, that's who I
Right.
took. So I want to see him get a win.
well, I am going to take Ty Gibbs this year also. You know, I haven't taken him yet, but I'm going to take him.
Yeah.
But I can't tell anybody yet because, you know, you'll know when I take him. But I don't think he's going to win. I'm just looking for maybe a top 5, top 10 with the kid. But
I'm going to say he'll win the Chicago street race.
that's bold.
Yeah, it is.
That's bold.
But
I don't see him much as a street racer, or not really street racer, but road course guy.
right.
But I guess we'll see what he's got this week.
Let's look at it like this. It's an equal playing field. We go to Chicago. Ain't none of them guys out there driving them cars done it.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? He's a young, energetic, decent road course driver.
But he's been minding his P's and Q's so far
Right. But we're better not to mind them
in Chicago.
than on a street. On
Nobody
a road
gets
course.
penalized for anything in Chicago, so
Right.
you might as well, right?
I mean, yeah, no crime up there.
Exactly. That's a bold prediction. We're going to see if it happens. I think I've been trying to go back and think of the drivers who have not won yet. I think Chase is going to get one because I think as the regular season progresses, he's going to start getting more desperate.
He'll get it at Watkins Glen. I think it'll be his win.
He might. I think I kind of thinking along the same lines you are. I think it's going to be a road course where he gets it at.
But, you know, on that same note, I mean, we all know he broke his leg, his left leg, his clutch leg. So, are those races where you're clutching 600 times a race affecting him more than the races where you're clutching 150, 200 times a race? You know, so
That could be. Depends on.
you know what I'm saying. We don't know how well his leg is, so
Right.
maybe he'll be better on an oval, super speedway.
Surely he'd be 100% by now.
Yeah, I mean, I broke bones 20 years ago that I'm still feeling. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So,
But he's not as old as you either. You know,
right,
he
he's
should
not
be
as
healing
handsome.
faster.
He's not as handsome or as old. I mean, let's call a spade, you know?
Right. So I think, I don't know, man. I was wanting to go with Ross getting the first win, but Big Papa Rick got mad. Now Ross has to change the way he's driving, so I don't know if he's gonna. I don't see Alex Bowman getting it.
I'll tell you my thoughts on. Give you the next 3 winners. So everybody listening, go ahead and lock this in. Sonoma, Ross Chastain. Nashville, Kevin Harvick. Chicago Street, Ty Gibbs. So there's 3 first-time winners for the season.
I don't know. It's tough to say just because, you know, Sonoma, it's been on the schedule for years. But it's kind of a toss-up, but I think this just goes to one of the road course guys. Nashville, we've only ran there twice, so it's kind of a newer track.
I think you're going to see a flurry of new winners. And it might not be. I mean, we might not have 3 first-time winners.
Yeah.
For the season in these next 3 races, but I can see that very easily happening. I've been wrong before. Been wrong twice.
Really? Twice?
Yep.
Can we say what?
Not right now.
Okay. I've been wrong before, but I think it was like 1984, 1985 was the last time I was wrong. And I don't remember what it was.
Is that when you took dance?
No, I've never taken dance.
Jim wouldn't have let that happen.
No, he wouldn't have. Let me look. Let me see some names here. I'll tell you who's going to be the next first-time winner.
I mean,
I'm going to throw some names at you.
It wouldn't surprise me to see Brad Kay pull off a Nashville race.
Guys that have not won yet: Kevin Harvick, Ross Chastain, Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher, Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez, Alex Bowman, Ty Gibbs. Those are just some of them. Then you get Chase Elliott, Ryan Preece, Eric Almirola, Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Boys, I don't know. That's gonna be tough. That's a tough question. I'm gonna go with the old man and say Harvick. Just because. Where?
Wasn't expecting that so quick, was you?
Michigan.
Yeah, that's very doable.
He owns that track.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna pick him in the league. That's where I'm gonna burn Kevin Harvick at, is Michigan.
Yeah.
So HR Scotty, don't pick him at Michigan. You seem to keep picking my drivers. Past 2 weeks in a row, we've picked the same driver. He said, "Oh, Chad's doing pretty good. I'm gonna pick the same guy as him. I know what he's doing."
Wish you could pick Bubba all year.
Yeah.
Wish I could pick Bubba all year.
Wish Chad would hurry up and pick Bubba so we can have the same driver and be cool.
I love Dr. Pepper. Get me another Dr. Pepper. You know.
Oh, man. He said if he ever had more kids, he'd name them Bubba.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bubba 1 and Bubba 2.
Well.
But, yeah, that's who I think. I'm going to go with Harvick for... I don't know, though, man.
It's a tough one, ain't it?
It is very tough. I'm second-guessing myself. It's got to be either Chastain or Harvick. It's just a matter of who gets it first. And it could be either way. Like you said, it could be Harvick at Nashville. And it could be Ross this weekend. I don't know,
Could
man.
be Brad Kay at Nashville.
It could be. It's tough.
It could be Brad Kay at Sonoma. I mean, he's not a bad road course driver.
No, it's not. I don't think.
No, I don't
it's gonna
see
be.
him. I don't see him winning.
It
there.
could be, yes, but
I mean,
I don't see it happening.
that's my prediction. It's going to go Sonoma, Chastain, Nashville, and I'm not saying this is who I'm going to pick in the fantasy league for Nashville, but I think Harvick can pull it out at Nashville.
He can. Harvick can pull it out. Well,
anywhere but dirt.
Right. Just go ahead and count on him finishing 43rd in a
He's
dirt race.
so mad that week. You know, I mean, he don't even want to finish.
He don't even want to practice. He don't want to qualify.
Yeah. He's so against it. You know,
just put a substitute driver in there for me. Might as well. They probably do better than him. You know, but oh well, enough picking on the old man.
But I think Nashville's another one of them tracks too. It's a shorter track and it's right up the alley of Chase Briscoe. You know, it's right in his wheelhouse. Same with Ryan Preece. I mean, them Stewart Haas boys are going to be strong, I think, at Nashville.
They could be.
And Kevin Harvick leading the way.
Well, speaking of these Stewart Haas guys, I want to give a big shout out to Eric Almirola. Thanks, Eric, for totally sucking this past week. I picked you in the fantasy league. You finished wherever you finished, like 18th or some crap like that. Thanks a lot, bud.
Well, he gets
Appreciate
it sometimes.
Gosh, made me mad.
Just gave you some of that Smithville ham, didn't
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, I just kept watching. I'm thinking, all right, he's going to get up there. You know, he's one of them guys that just steadily kind of quietly moves up. No, he never did. So I'm sitting there for 300 laps waiting for this move to happen, and it never did.
Yeah.
So I know you're listening, Almirola. Thanks a lot, bud. You let me down.
It's his last year. He's like, "This is
I'm
my
gonna,
last season. I'm gonna piss Chad off."
I'm
That's
gonna talk to
exactly.
Tony about that. Not
Well,
like
I
he
mean,
cares.
the way I see it, I mean, yeah, I don't know if Tony listens on the weekend right after this gets posted, or if he listens weeks out. But I
Well, I'm
know he
sure
listens. I
he
know he
gets,
listens.
yeah, he gets the alert when it
Gets
comes out.
notifications. But
Yeah.
I mean, we know he's going to need 2 drivers next year, and
I've already
you
been
know,
sized for my
if you,
racing suit.
Tony, if you're looking for drivers, you look right here, bud. We got 2 of them ready to go.
Shake and bake.
Absolutely. Just don't ruin my Crystal Gale shirt.
That's right.
But we will do the job.
That's right. Guaranteed. Um, what are you looking forward to in Sonoma? Anything?
I'm looking forward to no green white checker. But I think it's going to happen.
I think it's going to happen
You
too.
know, because
Road courses are just perfect opportunity for
right.
that.
I mean, it is a perfect opportunity. It's great for ratings and everything like that. But I'd love to see this race because when you have a green white checker on a road course, it's never just one green white checker. It's like
7.
7 of them, you know.
Right.
And my guy always gets caught up in it. You
Oh,
know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's
That guy that goes punted out there in the field, that's
Yeah.
usually my pick right
right,
there.
exactly. And that just seems how it works for all 26 people in our league.
Yeah.
You know.
Except for Hunter.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Hunter's guy could be a 36 and be the only car left on the track.
Yeah.
And
End up getting a top 3.
absolutely.
Yeah. It's. But
It is what it is.
yeah, it is what it is. I agree. I don't want to see no green white checkers. I'm kind of tired of green white checkers for a while.
But I think we will see it.
I think you're right.
I
think
think
you're right.
I think we'll definitely see green white checker, but that's what I look forward to is not seeing one.
Yeah.
And
I'm just hoping Suarez can make 2 in a row. I don't normally pull for Suarez because I'm just not a Trackhouse fan, but for fantasy purposes, I hope he goes 2 in a row.
yeah, well, I'd like to see Trackhouse do good myself because I took Chastain.
You took the other one, did
Yeah.
you? Well, maybe we can do a 1-2.
Yeah. Now,
Right.
if we know already that Chastain has pissed Suarez off this year,
He has.
so don't be mad if Chastain pisses him off again this year.
Well,
at Sonoma.
it's happened before. That's really all I got about that. Let's talk about this league. Hunter took the lead again.
Yeah, he's back.
I thought
up
everybody'd like to know that.
there. I think everybody does.
It pissed him off, didn't it? He was out of the lead for 2 weeks, and he got pissed off.
Yeah, he don't like it. I could tell you what his text said whenever
Okay.
I said something to him about it.
About him not being in the lead anymore?
Well, I can't say what I texted him on,
Oh, okay.
on there, but I said, "Look at you taking back the number 1 spot." He said, "Yeah, not too bad, huh? Ha ha ha." So, I mean, he knew it was coming, but yeah, Hunter don't like being second.
Well,
Most people in the league would be content,
yeah.
being second for a minute, you know.
Yeah, for a minute. I mean, I haven't seen second in 2 years.
Right, but I mean, there's only 7 points dividing up the first 3 spots. You know what I'm saying? Hunter's in first with 130, and Josh is in third place with 137. So
Yeah, he did good last week. He picked Kyle Busch to win that. Him and Earl.
was it Earl?
It was Earl. He told me it was Earl.
Really?
He said, I asked him, I said, was that you or Sonya
you
that
think he's
picked
still in
him?
credit? I don't know the guy, so
I don't think he would.
yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, he's been pretty good so far about letting me know.
Good job, Earl.
Good job, Earl. Let's see if you can do 2 in a row. Did he make a pick yet? It's after 7. We can talk about this.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know if he made the pick, but
Well, I think I'll be able to tell you just by his pick if it was him or Sonya.
Number 17, Chris Buescher.
Ooh, I think that's probably an Earl pick.
Huh?
I think so. It's not a bad pick.
It's not.
No.
I mean, he got that.
I mean, he did. What was it last week? He dropped like 6 spots for picking Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah,
No,
weeks
that was
ago.
2 weeks ago at the Coke
Yeah.
600.
Yeah, he took a
Yeah,
hard hit, but he recovered.
yeah, he went from worst to first.
Yeah.
Picked the last place guy, picked the first place guy.
Yeah.
He went up
There's
3
no gray.
spots.
There's no gray area for Earl.
No.
It's either black or white for him.
Yeah.
And he's true Ricky Bobby. If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll tell you who people need to be watching out for is Jason A. He was there at the bottom for a while. I think he picked 3 winners in a row or something like that. Or maybe it was 3 weeks in a row he picked a top 3 or something. But he jumped a lot in a few weeks. He's, 6th now? He's above HR Scotty.
Yeah.
2 points above him. But, which, speaking of Scotty, he fell a spot last week. I don't remember who did he pick last week? I don't remember. I don't even want to look it up.
Bell.
But yeah, that's right.
Scott took Bell.
Yeah, he took Bell. Dropped a spot.
Yeah. But
Mama Lou dropped 2 spots.
Yeah.
That's not
did.
like her.
Well, she took 10 steps forward and 2 back. You know.
Did she took Chastain, I think, didn't she?
Yeah, but that could, I guess, come back on me because I did mention it was a road course when it wasn't.
Yeah, that's true.
And
It's your fault. It's not Mom's fault.
right. Put that on me.
Yeah.
So.
We'll overlook it this week, Mom.
Yep.
I didn't go anywhere. I stayed the same.
What'd I do? I went up 1.
Yeah.
So.
You went up 1. Brian, up 1. Briggs, down 3. I'm going to be the newest member of the 200-point club if I don't
Think so.
shape up.
Yeah. Could be.
I'm only 2 points away at
I
198.
think Tony was the biggest fall this
Yeah, he fell
past
4
week.
spots. He's been sucking hind tit for a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think if him and Paul could get off each other down there in Bardstown.
Well, you got little D right between them.
Right. I mean, that don't surprise me. You know, but I mean, them 3 down there.
At the truck stop?
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, when they're not working, that's usually where they're at. You know, it's kind of
Gotcha.
like where Jay and Silent Bob's at. They're outside the convenience store.
So I knew Paul worked down there. I just thought Tony was an everyday customer. I didn't know he worked down there.
Well, I mean, Paul done so well on money down there. I think Tony and Donovan got in on the action because I mean, the last conversation me and Paul had, I said, how's things going at the truck stop? And he said, not bad. And he said, you know, the day before, he said he made $40.25, and I was like,
25 cents.
yeah,
huh?
I was like, $40.25. He said, yeah. I said, who gave you 25 cents? He said, all of them. I mean, you know.
Doing good work.
He is. I mean, he's a busy man, you know. So I guess we'll see if Tony and Donovan's successful down there as well. I know Paul is. But
Now, I can see that from little D there, but I didn't know Tony was down there all the time.
Yep.
He's doing pretty good.
They're like the 3 amigos.
Oh.
Them 3. Yeah. So.
Well, we'll see what happens. Who'd Tony pick this week, do you know?
I do. I'll have to look it up real quick.
I need to get Jeremy off my ass. He went up 3 spots last week. He's right behind me, only 5 points.
Tony took the 99 of Suarez.
Oh, well, we took the same driver.
Jeremy's on your ass.
Yeah, he's 5 points behind me.
He took Reddick.
Took Reddick. Reddick's gonna wreck this week.
Wrecking Reddick.
Wrecking Reddick. The old red dick.
Yep.
Gonna wreck.
But I mean,
Well, at least I hope he wrecks for, fantasy league purposes,
fantasy
of
reasons.
course.
We don't want him to get hurt.
No,
or
we don't
injured,
want him to get
nothing.
hurt. Just spin out in the grass,
Right.
get stuck. Maybe flatten a couple tires. Lose 3 laps. But it ought to be interesting. I was talking to HR the other day. He was griping at me, I was making fun of him for being a Bubba fan, and he was yelling at me, but
No,
he said
that's a sensitive subject.
it is sensitive. That's and I know it is.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
that's why.
that's like talking about one of his brothers. I mean, it's
Well, I do that too sometimes.
right. I mean, me being one of them,
Right.
I get it. But
Well, I usually make fun of the youngest.
right. Well, I mean, he takes it that serious when you start
Yeah.
giving
Oh,
shit to
yeah.
Bubba Wallace.
You can
I
just see
mean,
his face getting red from the
right.
neck up.
I mean, you know how he's got that big 23 tattoo right there on the side of his neck.
Hmm.
You'll see that vein come in right there on that 23 tattoo.
Well, I've noticed it kind of gets a Dr. Pepper shade of kind of reddish, kind of a dark red when he gets mad. It just works out pretty good for him, but
Right.
hey, to each his own. I'm not going to make fun of him for being a Bubba fan because
I'm
everybody's
just
got to have their favorite driver.
right. I'm
but
happy that he's a NASCAR fan.
yeah,
So
I mean, I'm glad he's got his driver.
I've never picked on anybody for being anybody's in particular fan.
Right.
I'm just glad he's a NASCAR fan.
Yeah, I just
And
know he gets mad. It's that you
absolutely.
find that red button that you push on somebody and it just
Oh, yeah.
instantly makes them mad. I
Yeah.
know that's for Scotty.
Yeah.
But he was telling me that we need to start telling some figure eight stories, and I told him, I said, we'll get to them. We've got plenty. We'll get to them, and not today, but we'll get to them because
So you got one today, or not today?
I don't have one today. I probably got quite a few of them, but I just
I've got one that haunts me, and I don't like talking about. I don't.
You want to go ahead and say
No,
yours?
No, because
I think I know what you're going
I
after.
don't like to talk about it. I don't even like to think about it.
I know what
So,
you're going after. We were at Sports Drone, wasn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember it. Well, one of these days you'll break it out, and
Yeah.
Scotty, we'll get you some figure eight stories, bud. I mean, this week's episode's already went a little bit long, so we'll fit them in. Maybe next week there won't be some drama to talk about after Sonoma. We can throw a figure eight story in there. And if you're listening and you don't know what a figure eight race is, if you just picture the number 8, that's how the cars drive. It's like an infinity sign, but there is no overpass. These guys are going through an intersection. You can probably look it up on YouTube, figure eight. Me and Scotty used to go to the figure eight world championships up in Indianapolis, second weekend of September. We used to go up there every year. And it's been a few years since I've been up there, but that race, I will say, I'm not going to get into a figure eight story, but I will say, if you've never seen a figure eight race, you go to that race.
Now, let me ask you this, because this was on. I'll make this episode a little bit longer by saying this. So, I wasn't there for when you guys went up to Indianapolis to watch this figure eight race, the championships, and if I remember right, it was you, Scott.
We've been up there a few times.
His 2 stepsons and his wife, and he has told me this story so many times about the ride back when you guys stopped at White Castle.
Did he lock the windows?
Yeah,
that's
he
true.
Locked the windows after
Well, we went to White Castle first because there's a White Castle right there in Greenwood, I think.
Yeah.
Just, once you get back on the Interstate 65 heading south, at the Greenwood exit, there's a White Castle right there. So it's an easy off, easy on. And, a lot of people go to eat there because it's White Castle. It's what you do.
White Castle and Big Red.
Exactly. You can't pass that up after a race. So we go into the White Castle, and there was probably 30 people in this White Castle, if I remember right. And me and Scotty, we had a good time at the race. We were
Having some
cold beverages
sodas.
went down pretty easy because it was a warm evening, and and this was the first time that his wife went with us. Right, so this was the first time she'd seen a figure eight race. This is the first time she had seen us after a race. So we're in the White Castle, and we're having pickle races on the window.
Yeah.
So, and she was just like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that." Well, we did quite a few times. And then after we go to White Castle, after we get back on the highway, the White Castles kick in.
Right, and Scott told me this. He's told me this story numerous times, and he gets as purple as a Dr. Pepper can when he's.
Oh, he
telling
won't
the story.
stop laughing about it.
No, he can't.
You should have seen him when it happened.
He couldn't get the story out, and it's almost like the worst accident of the night wasn't on that figure eight track.
No, it was.
It was, but
I'm pretty sure the boy shit himself.
and I've heard opinions. Like, there's no way that was a fart. That.
Yeah, he sharted.
Right. He shit his pants.
He sharted a couple
But
times.
even his wife telling me this story or being present when the story's being told, and she's still almost traumatized by how bad that smell was because he locked the windows and wouldn't let.
Yeah, he locked the windows and I knew it was coming when right before he did it. He rolled the windows up, and then he looked at me, and he had that smile on his face, and I knew something was coming. And I pieced it together pretty quick.
Oh yeah,
And,
I bet.
yeah, as soon as the windows went up, and then he's laughing, and then you know how when you rip one, and then you're waiting for your buddy to smell it.
Yeah.
Well, that's how this went. Except she was in the back seat, and to this day I feel bad for her because that was horrible, and I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And I just didn't realize it was going to be that bad. But I couldn't stop laughing either when it happened.
Right. I mean,
because she was saying words in the back seat that I've never heard her say.
But I mean, Scott is notorious for that because, I mean, it's like finding the opportune time to do things like that is classic.
It's priceless.
Yeah, it's priceless.
Yeah.
So I mean, there was one time where him and Tony when they were driving around together. Tony was driving, Scott was in the car with Tony, and Tony had pulled into the old family video up here in town because he had some movies, and he's like, "Hey, I'm just gonna run in and drop these off, come back in the car."
I can see where this is going.
But Scott's sitting in the passenger seat,
Right.
and Tony's out of the car for, I mean, literally like 28 seconds.
Uh-huh.
Like, he gets out of the car, windows are up, air conditioner's on. He runs up to the little box flap, puts his movies in, comes back, and gets in the car and sits down. And he goes, "What the fuck?" And Scott's just sitting over there, purple as a grape, man, just laughing his ass off.
I can see the look on Tony's face.
And I swear to this day, Tony says that smell was still in his car when he got rid of it.
I don't know.
I mean, it was that bad.
You got to burn the interior or something.
I don't. And I mean, but you have to. And I've got some stories where I've done some pretty messed up stuff too, and it's pretty vulgar. But I put a lot of strategy into mine.
Right.
Whereas Scott will just
He's instantaneous.
Yeah, instantaneous. Like you can say, "Hey, drop it now," and blow his mother up,
Right.
and he does it. And so I mean, it's no matter how old you get, being a guy, a boy, a man, no matter how old you get, two things are always funny. Whether you're 2 or 102, it's kicks in the nuts and farts.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
always funny.
Yeah, and I don't understand because people, like younger people these days, they don't appreciate the humor in it. It's like, hey,
No.
that's a God-given joke right there.
Absolutely.
You laugh anytime that happens.
I'm going to tell you this real quick, so we don't go too long. But this was years ago. Me and my other brother, one of my other brothers, the one right underneath me. We were
the crazy one.
yeah,
That's the way I refer to it. I mean, you're all crazy in your own way, but he's the crazy one. I think
Right.
even Mom might say that.
right. But going back to strategy,
Yeah.
strategic.
Just
You
so
know,
the listeners know.
Like my stuff is planned out.
Mhm.
Like me and my brother, he had to go to Louisville and get his paycheck. He wanted to know if I want to ride with him, and him and I, we were roommates at the time, and I was like, sure, I'll ride down there with you. So we drive to Louisville, gets his paycheck. We come back to Scottsburg, goes to Centra, to cash his check. Well, I mean, this is on I don't even remember what day it was, but this is a point in my life where my diet consists of Jim Beam and frozen burritos 7 days a week.
Okay, yeah.
So what's going on in this gut isn't for the faint of heart ever. But so we go to Centra. He goes in the second aisle, the drive-through.
Okay.
And I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and he signs his paycheck, gets the capsule out, and puts his paycheck in there, and I said, "Give me a capsule." He's like, he goes,
You didn't do
he,
what I think you're
I
getting
swear,
ready to do.
swear on my life. And he said, "What?" Because I didn't have a check to cash, Mine was direct deposit. So he hands me the caps. I was like, "Just give it to me."
Hurry
And
up.
right. So I put this capsule isn't one that splits in half. It's just the slide top open, right?
Right.
So I slide that top back open and position it right there between my legs, and I kind of edge off the front of the seat a little bit. I just drop ass in this capsule that's so bad that like we're sitting in the bank drive-through with the windows down, and it's thick. It's that warm thick.
Did you fog up the capsule?
Oh man. Well, I shut it, and my brother just over there cracking. He's like, "What the fuck?" And he's just laughing, like, "Why would you do that?" And I'm like, "Put it in there, put it in there." He puts it in there and sends it. So the poor woman working
Hold on, let me get. You cupped a fart
in the
for
capsule,
someone on the other side of the glass.
20 feet away.
That's awesome.
Through a brick wall. 20 feet away through a brick wall. Now, it gets a little bit better because, so the poor lady working inside the bank.
Was she older woman or younger woman?
I'm going to say she was in her 40s. But me and my brother sitting there just eyeing her. Like, we're just waiting to see how this can go.
You're going to watch it smack her in the face.
Right. So, she opens the capsule. She reaches into the capsule a couple times where the check is stuck to the plexiglass of, how it's circular. Well, it's stuck to it. So she takes the capsule like this and puts it in front of her face and shakes it like a shake weight right in front of her. And as soon as she did that, she goes... It's almost like she poured it on her face, and she started shaking her head vigorously, like, what in the hell is going on, and me and him are just sitting in the drive-thru rolling, because I was like, dude, you just seen it. I just farted on somebody 20 feet away through a 5-foot brick wall, and she just got it, and he's like, that was pretty awesome.
That's incredible. That's the first time I've heard that story.
Yeah, it started off with, for years and years, my farting on people career started off as kind of, I hate going shopping. I hate going to, stores to shop, whether it be grocery shopping or anything else.
Yeah.
So I'd get bored in Walmart, and I'd go down the candle aisle, and I'd always pick up a couple candles, right? And, one will say vanilla bean, and one will say cinnamon bun, and I'm like, all right. So I take these couple candles, and I'll walk around Walmart with them. When I feel one coming on, I'll take the lid off the candle, and I'll drop one in that fucking candle. And then I'll put the lid back on it real quick. Now, the trick is, you gotta lay it over by the potato chips or the 2 liters, somewhere where it's out of place.
Yeah.
Because then people over there are looking at, if you just put it back with the candles, nobody's ever going to pick that one up, you know. So you put it with you walk through the potato chip aisle and you're like, looking for your chips, and you see a candle that says cinnamon bun, you're like, oh, I bet that smells good. And they pull the cap off, and you can watch people do it, and it will hit them right in the face. And I spent years doing that. Just to entertain myself,
right?
Because I get bored.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. So then, and I didn't have no plans of doing that at the bank.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably could have got assault charges.
You probably,
But
that poor lady.
But anyhow, it's...
Well, I remember you doing that strategically to me and Scotty one time when we were... I don't remember what we had done. I think maybe we had went to a concert or something. I don't know. Maybe it was a race. But we were at a White Castle, and it was after... I think it was a concert. And this White Castle was packed. And we were like 5th one back in line to order. We had to go in and order, or we just did, whatever. But... it was me, you, and him standing there in line. And I specifically remember we're all three standing there discussing what we're going to get. And then you just walked away.
Yeah.
And I didn't think nothing about it. Because me and Scotty were sitting there just picking on each other or whatever we were
I
doing.
remember that.
And then like 2 minutes later, you walk back up to us. And it hit me right before you came up to us. I smelled it. And I realized what you did. And me and Scotty started cussing you. But we were just talking amongst ourselves. We wasn't talking very loud because this place was packed. And then you walk back up. What were we, like 20?
Right.
19, 20 years old?
Yeah.
And then you walk back up to us, loud as can be. God, you shit!
Right.
Everybody in the White Castle's looking at me and Scotty because you're talking to us.
Right. Well, my
So everybody thought we did
but
it.
it goes right back to strategy. My plan
Right.
was to do
Yeah.
that, walk away, and hopefully people in front of us would leave so we could move up the line. You know what I mean? It's
Well, it didn't work that way.
no,
You got me and Scotty. Everybody's looking at me and Scotty wanting to know who did it.
Yep.
And neither one of us could. We were both laughing uncontrollably.
Well, because we're guys.
Yeah,
you
we're
know?
guys. That's what we
I mean,
do.
It sucks to be in that, but it's you
If you
can't
can
not
put your
laugh
buddy,
at it.
yeah, if you can put your buddy in that kind of position,
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't do that? But well,
It works good when you get pulled over too. If you drop one right before the cop comes up, makes you roll your window down.
yeah, I've never done that before.
Yeah, he ain't gonna be there long.
That's
Because
true.
I mean, all that's coming out right out that window.
Yeah,
He definitely, it's like, officer, I'm sorry I was speeding. I've just got shit.
yeah.
I was trying
I'm
to get
trying to get home so I didn't just mess on
He's
myself.
gonna be like, you ain't lying. You need to go, boy.
Let me escort you, son.
let me put my cherries and blueberries on. You just go in the woods,
Oh man.
But
Well, I'm sure Scotty's gonna enjoy them stories right there.
yeah, he remembers them.
Oh yeah, he does. Oh yeah. Well, let's see. That's all I've got for this week. We'll be back next week with a Sonoma recap and whatever the fallout is from Sonoma. Drama, penalties. I'm sure we'll have a little bit of both.
And give our opinions on Nashville.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely give some opinions.
Yeah.
But,
So thanks for listening.
have a good week wherever you're watching the races from. If you're going, just watching, enjoy them.
And don't forget, if you've got a friend that you really care about, shit on them and let them know.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
As a guy, that's the ultimate form of appreciation.
Yeah. So.
That's when you know you're cared. They care for you.
Right. You don't. It's awkward for some men to say, you know what, I love you. You're one of my best friends, but you can say the same with your ass.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Well, I've never thought of it that way, but you're right.
It's all right.
It's a universal language.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talking shit.
That's right.
So, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week. I'm Justin. Right in your face as always.
That's right.